Welcome to our new podcast.
It's me, Marty.
And me, Christian.
We're only voice now.
We've always been only voice.
Right, but there's no picture.
Yeah, there's no picture.
There's a singular picture. It doesn't move.
No, it doesn't move. Welcome to Night Drives.
We drive at night and talk.
Yeah, we just talk about different topics. Tonight's topic was inspired by our future podcast. I'm not sure how much we've described about that, but we have a future podcast eventually coming out.
It's based in a post-nuclear apocalypse world where the lone narrator is the man that runs the radio station.
But inspired by that podcast, today's topic is apocalypse and, today's main topic is apocalypse and some tips to survive it.
We have how many different kinds of apocalypse?
I believe we have 7. Yes, 7.
They will range from likely to unlikely depending on your views.
We're going to go more least likely to most likely, depending on your views, of course. Some of this is slightly religious, only like one topic.
Not to say we won't, dive into some religious moral ambiguity along the way. So please bear with us and don't send so much hate mail that we can't go through it all.
Yeah. But today, to start it off today, the zombie apocalypse, because that's one of the most least likely.
It's also one of the most popular.
Yes. And when we speak of zombie apocalypse, we mean like the whole variety of zombie apocalypse, whether you mean the raising of the dead or the slightly more realistic rabies virus. But considering that the raising of the dead is there, this is the least likely. But what are some tips you think of for surviving the zombie apocalypse?
The first thing you do when you realize that, hey, I'm in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, is find a weapon.
Always find a weapon. You don't want something loud.
You don't want something loud. You don't want anything too heavy.
No.
So when it comes to your, most of your different kinds of hammers and pipes and such, that's not really going to cut it starting out.
One place that I think would be personally very good to stop by, first of all, is a sports store. They have a wide variety of things that can be used as bludgeoning instruments and such. Like baseball bats, of course. Baseball bats is one of the most famous things in zombie apocalypses.
Right. No matter what you do, no matter how likely you think it is to work, never use a hockey stick.
No.
People always make them seem like great weapons, but they're not. You will try and use it, and it will just snap in half.
They're not the most sturdy of things. And if you have the choice of baseball bat, go with a metal. Wood might seem cool and all, but wood is more likely to break.
Also, don't do the craziness of trying to put barbed wire or something around your bat. The zombies don't care.
No. You hurting them, as far as we know from all the science fiction and everything like that, and even the rabies virus causing them to lose control of the brain. They don't care about pain. They don't care about anything like that.
You will stab them 100 times and they will keep coming.
And all you are doing is just making it more possible for your weapon to get stuck to them.
Which is why you go for bludgeoning weapons or really sharp slicing weapons. To, if not kill them, slow them down.
Yeah. I saw one thing, it was a long time ago, I can't remember what it was from.
Go ahead.
But one of the most, classic kind of things, if you have a weapon that, like a nail gun or something, and it's battery run or something like that, that's decently effective because you can slow them down. But I wouldn't recommend carrying one unless it was battery powered, because I've seen a lot of air compressed, and air compressors are heavy.
They are also quite loud.
Most definitely. You will attract everything nearby.
Which brings us to our second tip. Be quiet.
Yes. A lot of people don't seem to think about this too. For transportation, bicycles.
Of course.
You don't need to, bicycles aren't loud. You can get around on a bicycle pretty easily.
Most anyone can learn how to ride one.
Yeah, it's not very difficult at all. But just bicycles, because cars are loud. You're going to be running out of gas and stuff.
Also, think about it this way. You have a highway in which you would drive your car down. Now, in the time of the apocalypse, when everything starts, everyone and their mother is going to have the same idea of jumping in their car and driving away, which leads the highways and the back roads just littered with empty cars that'll do nothing but get in your way. Bicycles are a good way to avoid all that clutter.
I don't really see a difference between walking between them and just riding a bike between them, but it is faster to use a bike, I will say.
Bikes are faster and less exhausting.
They are far less exhausting because they get you farther with using less energy.
Yes.
Another thing, energy-wise, if you're in a hotter area like Texas or something, don't go out walking in the day.
No.
Conserve your energy in the day. Walk at night.
Don't necessarily walk at night. Walk early morning to afternoon. Don't walk in the middle of the day, but don't walk in the dark.
Yeah. You just want it to be cooler.
Yes.
And, unless it's winter time. If it's winter and everything is snowy and stuff, you can walk in the middle of the day then, because that's when it's warmest.
Travel according to the temperature and season.
Actually, I think you just have to travel according to temperature and time.
Fair enough.
But other things for zombie apocalypse, have a small group, in my opinion.
Yes.
Don't be by yourself.
Don't be by yourself. The optimal groups are from 2 to 12.
I wouldn't even say 12.
Well, 12 would be the max. No more than 12.
I would say 8 as your max. If you're getting into 12 and stuff, that's more that's not a traveling party anymore, in my opinion. In my personal opinion. Because then you have too many people that could get injured to slow you down.
Well, I understand that. But I'm saying, as a max, if you have a large party and you need to split off into groups, the max to split a large party into would be 12.
Yeah, I can see that. But when you get into the higher numbers, if you ever reach 20 or something, and you can find a good place to set up a camp. Have a home base at that point. If you can find a good place to set up a home base, have a home base. Because if you can get a farm or other such things going, then that makes you a target to other people, because one of the biggest things people forget in the zombie apocalypse is zombies aren't the only problem.
You have the other people.
Other people are greedy and such, but you don't have to announce yourself out there. You can have a little hidden settlement. But the hardest problem, I think, to get going is clean water.
We're going to cover that in every single one of these.
Yes.
Because we don't have the water world apocalypse.
No.
Because at that point, mostly you're just kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Fish and hope you live.
Yeah, and... Yeah.
Don't drink your own pee. No matter what you do in any of these situations, don't drink your own pee. Don't listen to Bear Grylls.
If you have no other choice, though, you can.
You can. However, that is, you're 10 hours away from...
But, off this topic,
off the topic of urine.
Yes. Back to water. One of the most convenient ways to keep it going is to boil water. If you can find some kind of big drum of some kind or something to just keep boiling water and have somebody on that position all the time and somebody to get like firewood or something, there you go. There, you can boil that water until most of it is gone and you've got a decently reliable clean source of water.
Another tip as far as that's concerned is to boil water you're going to need fire. And for this I suggest you adopt a traditional Native American technique. Well, it's not really a technique, it's more of a tradition in which in the center of the tribe, I cannot remember which tribe it is, but in the center of the tribe they would keep a fire burning at all times. Day, night, whatever. There would always be a lit fire.
I don't see so much at nighttime, because at nighttime that's a beacon, and you don't want a beacon to anything.
I can see where you're coming from that.
But during the day, yeah, go for it. All day fire, that's reliable. Another thing a lot of people forget. Hygiene.
You have to stay clean.
You have to. Don't use the dirty water out in the river either. You should be boiling water constantly and stuff. Use clean water to bathe. You don't have to like sit there and scrub yourself like a bath or anything. But at least like wash yourself off and keep yourself decently clean.
Because in the apocalypse, no matter which one, your greatest adversary is disease.
And you get so many diseases and infections by just not cleaning yourself and taking care of yourself. One of the biggest problems I feel that people are going to have in the apocalypse is toothpaste, tooth decay, and everything like that. I'm not sure how to fix that problem at the current moment.
There is. I don't know how widespread it is. I don't know if you can find an alternative in a lot of places.
I'm not sure either.
But there is... I don't remember what kind of plant, but it's a plant. And it has these twig-like things. I know they're out in the Middle East. But what it is it frays at one end, and it works like the bristles of a toothbrush. And the ancient peoples of the region would actually use them for oral hygiene. You looking up right now?
I am.
He's looking up right now. Look up toothbrush twig. That might get us where we need to go.
Yeah.
Christian will be our fact checker for this podcast, as I am the driver.
I see something called Mizwak. I'm not sure what that is.
That sounds like it is.
I'm not sure what that is. So,
bear with us while we find out.
On to another topic. We can go back to this.
Yes, as you're looking that up, let's go on to different forms of hygiene.
Okay. Well, actually, I just found it. Mizwak is the correct thing. It's used in a lot of dog chewing toys and stuff, but it's safe for humans. It is a teeth cleaning twig. I'm not sure where you could find this.
Does it not have a region?
It looks like it's Arabic.
Right.
In the case of an apocalypse, if any of y'all wanted to, stack up on this stuff. It looks like it'd be good.
Do you have any information as to how it works?
You just chew on it.
You just chew on it?
You just chew on it. That's all it says.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's in a lot of North Africa and South Asia. Well, there you go.
There's an item that you might want to stock up on. I imagine it can't be too heavy.
No. It looked like it was just a bunch of little twigs. And you could probably break apart those little twigs and just chew on a little bit each day. Because you want to take care of your teeth, but you also want to ration stuff.
Of course. And it definitely sounds like you keep, like you use the toothpaste first. Because the toothpaste seems more of a temporary item.
Yeah. you use all of the toothpaste that you have currently.
Right.
That's what you were saying. For some
Yes.
reason, I was thinking you were talking about the twig still, and I'm like, huh? But, on other topics of hygiene,
Soaps.
soaps. I'm not really sure how to make soap. There's probably a lot of people out there that do know how.
Learn how to make soap.
Yes. Learn how to make soap. That's
It
one of
is rendered from animal fat, is the furthest knowledge I have of it.
Or lye.
Or lye. Well, you use animal fat and lye sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's rendered from animal fat or lye. And use your soaps to wash your hands. You don't necessarily need it to wash your bodies, because a good scrub down with clean water.
I will disagree with that.
You disagree?
I disagree. You should use the soap, at least some of it, to wash your armpits and your private areas.
Ah,
Because, again, infections are very common in those areas.
you raised a fair point.
Because they are the nastiest parts of the body.
You are. Yeah. They are.
You are! How dare you!
You are correct, was the rest of my sentence that I lost. But use it to clean the critical areas and definitely your hands.
I think most of these hygienes, they apply to everything.
Yeah, everything, period.
Yeah. Food-wise,
For the zombie apocalypse.
yeah, for the zombie apocalypse, that's going to be a little harder. Because not harder than some of the other ones we have, but it's one of the more difficult. If you're looking for hunting and stuff, then
You first have to dictate whether or not the zombie virus is affecting animals.
yeah, that's like a big no-no. We don't have anything on this because it doesn't exist yet. So
Right.
we don't know if you could kill the infection or not with
Right.
fire.
It'll take some trial and error. Some of you may die. It's a risk that you may or may not be willing to take, and that is at your own discretion.
Yes.
Now, in the case that it does not affect animals, then you have to think about your form of hunting.
Yes. Again, I brought this up earlier. One of the things that a lot of people would probably do if they have an actual base camp is garden. Gardening is probably the best thing you could do in this situation.
At which point you would be keeping livestock for meat. Do you think livestock? Okay. Here is my theory on livestock, and I'm going to ask for your input afterwards. If you do decide to keep livestock, then you should definitely keep it away from your settlement. Not too far away, but you don't want it close enough that the sound of the animals attracts the attention of the zombies.
Yes. I think one of the best places that you could, if you could find one, and you could cover it up after you've checked the whole area, is find a small cave or something like that. Because it's a good place to set up one security point and make sure that nothing can get out. It may be dark and stuff, but you could keep some light in there, and as long as you could block out the front and still have an entryway, then you could do pretty well. In my opinion.
That doesn't sound like a bad idea. There are not a lot of caves in most parts of
The world.
Of the world.
But obviously you're not going to be able to always find a cave like we just
Right.
basically stated.
If you are traveling, travel light.
Yes. Never carry... I would like to say never carry per person above 50 pounds.
I don't know, some people can carry more. I would say don't carry any more than a third of your body weight.
Yeah.
Just have that as a max limit, being a third of your body weight.
I can see that. Because, for me, that'd be just about, I don't know. I weigh 210, and I can't think of it right now.
You're a math man.
I know.
You have a calculator in your hands.
I do not. It's sitting in here. In the
You have a
cup
calculator
holder.
right next to your hands.
Yes,
It's not a cup holder.
It is not a cup holder. I don't know what this thing is considered.
The pocket in the door.
Yes. It's night drives. We're in a car.
We are in a car. If you don't believe us, listen to that nice car ambient noise.
There was that nice car ambient noise.
There's a little bit of it, yeah. It stopped raining.
It did.
Which brings us to our next topic.
That doesn't really bring
The
us to
weather.
What?
The weather is going to be a major factor.
Oh yeah. Okay. I
No,
thought
not our next topic total. We have a lot more about zombie apocalypses that we need to cover.
Yeah.
One of them is surviving the weather.
Well,
Because chances are...
I think these last half of the zombie apocalypse can almost be used for everything.
Yes.
But
surviving the weather, chances are you're going to be roughing it. Because, as Rule 897 of the zombie apocalypse states, stay away from rural areas and big cities.
yeah,
I feel like that doesn't need much explanation. Those hold a lot of people, and there's a lot of places for you to get snuck up on. And zombies usually don't make a lot of noise.
At least from what we know.
At least from what we know. For all we know, they could be screaming the entire time. But honestly, that would also make them hard to detect, because then they would all be screaming all the time. And you would have a hard time pinpointing where a single one was coming from.
But then you would actually get a little bit of a notice if it was dead quiet and then you just hear screaming in the middle of the night.
Yeah. It would have its advantages and disadvantages. Being in a city would be maddening.
Oh, most definitely. I think that would honestly be more terrifying than the regular zombie apocalypse.
I think it would. Let's hope for that. Let's hope for not that one. But as far as the weather's concerned, never travel in any kind of poor weather. Anything stronger than a drizzle should not be traveled in.
No, because you do not want wet socks.
No. For health reasons, for stealth reasons,
And for comfort.
and for comfort. Because no matter what, in any of these situations, comfort is very important. Because we have become creatures of comfort. And removed from that, our mental state will actually start to deteriorate. Deteriorate?
Yes.
Deteriorate.
That's the
Missed an R in there.
word. But we do need something comforting. I will not recommend... I'd recommend carrying some kind of bedroll or something, if you
Yes.
have one. If you do not...
Rob a store.
Yes.
It's the apocalypse.
Who's going to stop you?
That goes for almost any of these apocalypses.
The
You
only
need something, rob a store.
The only thing is, if you live in a big city,
Be careful of robbing a store, because alarms.
well, no. I was thinking of something totally different. Not
Okay.
totally different, but still on topic.
I mean, alarms are bad.
Well, yeah. But if you live in a big city, then there is a slight chance that the government can actually maintain control and such. And if that is
Yes.
the situation, then I highly recommend staying there. It might not be the most comfortable. You might not always get to eat right before bed because they have to ration stuff. But it will be a semblance of this life instead of...
Okay, so you're not talking about camp out into a city and wait for the government.
No.
You're saying that if you have the ability to live in a militarized
area.
area that is quote-unquote safe,
Yes.
then do it.
Yes. Because
Always be wary of the people protecting you, though. You could not see my air quotes around the steering wheel, but they were there.
Yes.
When you get into that kind of thing, when it comes into rescuing is when you need to think about the short-term survival techniques. One of them is to stay in your home. I suggest doing this in the beginning regardless, because if there is a rescue attempt, chances are they will go door to door. And if you're out wandering in the woods, as soon as the zombies start coming around, then your chances of being found diminish greatly.
Most definitely.
So what you do, this is specifically for 2 or more story homes. No, correction, for any home, what you do, as soon as you see everything going south, fill up your bathtub. Fill up your bathtub and anything else you have with water, because Lord knows how long the water's gonna be on.
Yeah.
If you do still have power, cut off all the power at night.
Yes, again, that is another good thing.
Yes. As with your fire.
The water thing. To add a small little note to that.
Small note.
Do not do this if you know that all the water, and it has been told to you, is diseased.
Yes.
Don't do this.
Well, you should still do it. Just go back to the boiling water no matter what.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, I guess you could do that. For the 2-story house thing, were you going to go with the smash the stairs? Okay.
If you just so happen to be in a 2-story house, what you do is you do what I said, fill everything up upstairs with water, move everything upstairs, and then destroy your stairs. What you want to do is you want to have some sort of way to get down from the upstairs through a window of sorts. But what you want to do is destroy your stairs, so that way after you block off the door, which I hope you have, if for whatever reason the zombies have come in to your home, they will not be able to reach you as they cannot climb.
As far as we know.
As far as the science fiction has informed us. So that will make you as safe as possible in a 2-story home. The second safest home you can be in, well, the next safest home you can be in, is a boathouse. As zombies cannot swim.
As far as we know.
As far as we know.
Okay, so we don't have to keep saying it. As far as we know is implied from now on.
Yes. As far as we know, zombies cannot swim. However, seeing as our physiology removes the need to breathe, I highly recommend, if you do decide to live on a houseboat of sorts, stay away from the shores.
Yes.
As since the zombies cannot swim, and probably will become waterlogged and will not float, they will shamble, crawl, what have you, along the bottom of the body of water. So as you approach the shore, there will be more zombies within the reach of your boat grasping at you. So if you do decide to head out to the middle of a lake, into the ocean, what have you, I would highly suggest you load up with enough to not have to come back for a while.
And if you somehow know of an oil rig in the middle of the ocean that you could set up a farm on, and you could get there, that's probably one of the safest places you could go now.
Oil rigs are one of the safest places.
Because you're in the middle of the ocean. Nothing can go bother you there.
Right. The trouble would be setting up a
farm.
Well, a sustainable environment.
Yeah.
Because you'd think you'd have to... Well, I guess you'd have the oil. I don't know how refined it is. I'm not
an expert either.
No, we are not experts in most anything.
No.
Excuse me. So we would not be able to tell you the finer details. But the trouble with the oil rig would be finding a sustainable source, for your water, for your clean water.
I suppose, yeah, thinking about it, I didn't really think about how you're going to start the fire.
Which is where maybe the oil comes in? I'm not positive on how all that works. Be careful with a fire on an oil rig regardless.
Oh, most definitely.
Because the last thing you need is to explode.
I mean, that puts you over pretty quickly, though. So, it would hurt.
That's better than being eaten by zombies.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
If it comes between being eaten by zombies and exploding, I think I'm gonna explode.
Same. There's actually that one small town that's in the ocean.
Is there a small town in an ocean?
Yes.
Are you talking about the country island?
Yes. The one that is completely floating.
Isn't it entirely man-made?
Yes. I
Okay,
believe
so we're talking about the same thing.
Yes.
It is a man-made structure in the middle of the ocean, and it is actually its own country. The problem is, I don't believe they have farms. I believe everything's imported.
They do a lot of fishing there, though.
They do. That's one good thing the ocean does. It provides you with a bunch of fish. You cannot survive solely off of fish, though.
No.
I'm not sure what oceanic vegetation is edible, either.
Seaweed.
Seaweed edible?
Yeah.
Of course it is, duh. It comes with its own challenges that we're not qualified to expand upon.
No. But there's some benefits to both.
There are. Now, we'll give you a rundown
Turn right onto
of
Hopeman Parkway.
we will give you a rundown of transportation in the zombie apocalypse. Now, as far as cars are concerned, if you absolutely need to use a car, what we suggest is a small 4-door sedan. Because you may look at the big Hummers,
Turn right
the big
onto Hopeman
SUVs.
Parkway.
You may look at the big Hummers, the big SUVs, and think that they are the perfect thing for running down anything that walks in your way. You would be wrong. Only because they are loud, and they also consume ungodly amounts of fuel.
Yeah. Honestly, I wasn't going to say a 4-door sedan.
Okay, as far as cars are concerned, what is your...
I think you should go with something electric. Like an electric hybrid. They are very quiet. Like, you hardly hear them.
Well, yeah. As it stands right now, the only problem with that is the...
Well, we also don't know if power is going to be cut off in the zombie apocalypse.
We don't. We assume it will. However, with modern day, I definitely think that if you can set up a settlement and have power, I believe having one of those on hand would not hurt you.
No.
Because they are quiet. You can paint it a muted color to kind of blend in.
Yes.
So I think in the long term, that might be a good call. But I'm saying...
Good Carl.
I didn't say good Carl.
It sounded
scared
like...
the hell out of me.
It sounded like it did.
A good call. However, in the situation of you need to get out, you need a car, chances are you're not going to be able to just find an electric car.
Unless you live in a big city.
Unless you live in a big city. At which point you don't want to be going around in a car anyway, because that traffic is there and not moving.
Yeah.
So, in terms of an emergency, I would say a 4-door sedan. Would you agree with that?
In emergency, yes, I will agree with that.
Okay, in the long term, I do agree with you for an electric car. However, we don't suggest cars except out of emergencies or in that specific scenario.
Yes. Like we said, bicycles. Bicycles are probably your best bet.
There's an entire Queen song about bicycles telling you how great they are.
There is. We will not sing it,
We will not.
but
We will reference it. Shout out to Queen. Now, as far as flying vehicles go, what you want to avoid is planes. No matter how small, the chances of you finding a runway or other place to land or take off with a plane is very slim. Planes are also unbelievably loud.
so are helicopters if that's where you're going.
Well, so are helicopters. The advantage helicopters have over planes is their ability to land anywhere.
Planes can land on a slope easier, though.
Well, yes, but helicopters can land on the top of buildings. They can land in fields. Helicopters just give you more versatility as to the landing and taking off.
Though the only problem with this is gas.
Yes.
They take a special kind of gas,
They
which
do.
you will probably never find.
Yes. So those are the pros and cons of a helicopter. You know how to drive a helicopter. You have one that has a decent amount of gas. That'll get you pretty far, and it'll put you ahead of many other survivors.
One thing, I will say this, because it's something that we haven't talked about
Go ahead.
at all. It's getting off of the topic of transportation,
Go ahead.
but medicine. Medicine is something that you're going to need.
Yes. I believe we should tackle that in its entirety.
Like as its own topic?
As
or
its own topic.
Do you want to start that now, or?
I have two more thoughts on the transportation.
Very well.
Okay. They will sound ridiculous, but your two best options as far as air travel is concerned is a hot air balloon.
Fuel.
Again, fuel. However, it's quieter than a helicopter, and it gives you all the same advantages of a helicopter, minus, of course, the steering.
Yes.
Now, the very best transportation as far as flying is concerned is a Zeppelin.
A Zeppelin.
A Zeppelin. Because it's all the advantages of a hot air balloon, except you can steer.
Okay. I will say another thing, if you have it.
Are you going to tear down my Zeppelin idea?
No. No,
Okay.
no.
Because Led Zeppelin for the win.
Shout out to another band that doesn't need shouting out to because they're already that popular.
Let's go Led Zeppelin.
But,
Let's go Zeppelin, let's go.
if you know how to use one, which chances are very, very, very few of you do, wingsuits.
Oh, I thought you were going to say jetpack.
We don't really have jetpacks.
No, but if you have one.
If you somehow have a jetpack, there you go. But, wingsuits, because it might not be good for getting you up high. But, say your camp is up high. Then
Continue, but I have a major drawback with your idea.
you could get down faster, and then you could transport back up together.
My major drawback with that idea is you can't really carry anything when you're traveling by wingsuit.
No, I'm simply stating, like, you can carry, like, a knife or something, but you could have a designated drop point that you all meet at.
Fog.
Yes, there is a lot of fog. Not a lot anymore. It was very short.
It was a bank of fog.
Yes.
Night drives.
But, like, say you have a designated point at the end of somewhere that you're all supposed to land, and that's where you keep most of your supplies, and there's somebody down there. You could have 2 points of contact where you could do that.
You could.
Or in this situation, actually, I just thought of something even better. Better. That was loud. I apologize. If somehow you manage to power it, cable cars go up and down. Cable cars are amazing. And
It would definitely let you have an excluded mountain civilization.
Yes, and another thing is if you only had a small settlement and you could set up at both points of the cable car's like line is you could have people set up like 2 or 3 people guarding at each point, and then during nighttime you could have people sitting inside the cable cars to sleep, and they're very secure up there.
You could.
That's like the only thing I can think of. With that, well, you would have to have somebody that could probably run a small maintenance on it. But I'm sure if you're out near a cable car, there's probably somebody that used to work there that might still be hanging around.
Hopefully they're not a zombie.
Hopefully. There's probably more than one person working on each cable car, though, so. I mean.
Yeah. Lots of fog.
There is a lot of fog now. It's back to fog.
Climbing up a mountain. Fog in my windshield. Hope I'm not driving right off the cliff.
It's not really a cliff, more just a very sharp decline.
Very sharp decline.
But,
I like your cable car idea.
I do too. I thought
That's
it was
really interesting.
But medicine. You want to get on medicine now?
Yes.
Um,
This goes for every topic we're going to bring up.
yes. This is like the biggest thing you can do. Hospitals will probably get overrun.
Yes.
Don't-
Because the first place people go during an infection is the hospital.
Yes. I say raid your local pharmacy.
Yes. Keep in mind, this is only during martial law.
Yes. Not like while government and laws and stuff are still standing.
Yeah. Don't do that in preparation for
No.
the zombie apocalypse.
No.
Because then you will end up in jail. The worst place to be.
Oh, most definitely. Because you
Well-
are now...
Yeah.
Uh,
It's the worst place to be to start.
yes. If your cage is locked, that's the worst place to be.
Yes.
If it's not locked, however, or you have the key,
Make sure you're in an old prison with the really strong walls and the really strong gates.
even if it's haunted,
Even if it's haunted.
deal with ghosts before zombies, people.
Over zombies.
Yes.
No, you want to deal with the zombies first. The zombies are a bigger threat.
Yes.
Usually.
Well, if you could deal with the ghosts while you're living there.
Well, that's the thing. Zombies are the biggest immediate threat.
Yes.
The ghosts can be dealt with at other points in time.
Yes.
As long as there aren't mysterious murders going around while you're staying at the prison or other haunted place.
Plus, prisons are very good for medical equipment.
They are. They are outfitted with their own small hospitals.
Yes. Basically.
Now, you're going to want to clear out a prison upon arrival. Whether that means clear it out from zombies or clear it out from hostile inmates.
Yes.
Not saying all inmates are hostile. If you're in jail and listening to this, you know what? You might be a good guy. You might be innocent. I don't know.
How are they listening to this if they're in jail?
There's some nice jails that let you have internet access.
No. I haven't really encountered any from the stories I've heard.
No, yeah, some of them actually give you computer time.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's pretty nice.
it's like more of the nicer privately owned ones now.
Ah, yeah. Well,
That's an unrelated topic.
yes. Back to, like, medicines and such.
The first medicine you need to look for and grab every time is penicillin.
Oh, most definitely. And if you have asthma or something,
Stock up on your inhalers, your insulins, your basic needs for long-term diseases.
and lots of bandages and gauze.
What I also suggest is if you do have one of those long-term diseases, do some research on ways that you can live not comfortably, but without medication.
In case it comes to that point.
In case it comes to that point, because you can't always guarantee that you will have medication.
Yeah.
Definitely stock up on any medication you need, but look up alternative ways to deal with it, whether that is alternative medicine through herbs or techniques, diets, and such for the diabetes.
Yeah.
Always have a long-term plan.
Yes. Always look short-term, but also plan ahead. Short-term is your main priority in these kinds of situations, because you cannot be planning to survive the week when you don't know what will happen tomorrow at all.
Yes.
If there's no kind of stability, like in day-to-day life, which there is, even if you think there isn't, there is some small stability. But it's not like you're going to have, like in day-to-day life, you're not going to have a horde of zombies show up tomorrow. But for all you know, in the zombie apocalypse, that could happen.
It could.
Like, you could be just sitting there gardening, and the next thing you know, there's zombies everywhere surrounding you, and now you can't get rid of them. Now you have to try to pack up and leave while they're distracted. I think that's all I really had about medication.
I think that's all I have about medication, too. Obviously, like we said, grab your penicillins, your antibiotics.
Yeah, all of the basic stuff. I wouldn't recommend, unless you have severe migraines and such, I wouldn't recommend taking like ibuprofen and Tylenol and anything else that you could slightly, even if only slightly, get addicted to.
Yes. Addictions are your downfall in the apocalypse.
Because I'm sorry to anybody that may use any kind of drug out there that you are addicted to, or cigarettes. You are going to have a hard time.
Yes.
Because you will not always have that.
No.
So, yeah. Do you wish to move on to our next apocalypse scenario? I don't really have anything else to add. Zombie, do you?
I had an idea, but it is gone now.
Okay. Well, we will just move onward, and if we ever do a situation like this again, and you remember it, then we'll can talk about it. But the next thing we have is plague, and by that I just mean any kind of very deadly disease.
Yes.
Obviously, you want to steer clear of very populated areas.
Yes. For this, you're not looking for salvation or to be saved. For the most part.
Yes. If you hear rumors of a cure, don't go running straight after them. Do your research in this situation. Do your research in any situation, but heavily with this, because you could be running straight into an area filled with people that are already sick.
So avoid populated areas, rural areas.
For situations like this, you want to have a settlement, but nowhere near as big as a zombie apocalypse settlement, because there's no impending doom.
Yes.
Well, nothing to cause your impending doom by its own actions. There is a disease. However, what you want to do is basically get a small group, a very small group, and find one location to stay where you will be completely hidden and anonymous. just so no one can find you, so no one can bring any kind of trouble.
Yes.
Um,
Medicine is beyond a priority in this situation.
most definitely.
Especially if you are unaware of what causes the disease.
Yes. There's nothing that we can necessarily think of, or at least that I can think of, I'm not sure about you, that would cause this at this immediate moment.
No.
If there was something like the bubonic plague
Well,
and we hadn't found a cure for it or anything like that, and it just wiped out all humanity, that could be a situation that, like, we're talking about. We're talking about, again, just a disease that's wiped out a lot of people, and you don't know what's causing it. Again, like he said, medicine is very important. Take care of all infections.
Yes.
In every situation, take care of infections immediately.
Yes.
If you have a limb that is severely infected, do not amputate yourself.
No.
If you have somebody that is medically trained and knows exactly what they're doing, and you have enough faith in them to do it, you can make your decision then. But do never do it yourself.
Yes.
Because we cannot make clean cuts on ourselves, no matter what.
The most practiced surgeon could not do surgery on himself.
No, it's just a mind thing. A lot of these, I feel, are going to be a little shorter than the zombie apocalypse one, because we covered topics that range for everyone in the zombie apocalypse one. But we're going to give a small rundown for each.
Overall protection no matter where you go.
Yes.
You know, your surgical masks, your rubber gloves. Anytime you leave your settlement to go anywhere, say for scavenging, as soon as you return to your home base, remove all your clothes and wash them as soon as possible.
Yes.
You have to take hygiene to the max in this situation.
Yes. In this situation, do not use soap sparingly.
No.
Save it, but do not skimp out on it.
No.
Because in this situation, since it's not a, like, thing that could probably cause the government and everything to just immediately fail, there will probably still be some remnants of stores or something like that that you could send people out to with protection.
Yeah.
And you could probably get more soap relatively easily. That's on the lucky side of things, though. Not
Yes.
on the side where almost everyone is dead and you're like the last people alive.
Well, then it's easy to find soap.
Well, yeah. I guess if you're like a group of like 4 or 5 and you're the only people alive, then you don't really have to worry about anything because nobody's really going to stop you. Yeah.
No, and then at that point, repopulating the Earth is kind of a moot point, because then it just becomes a bunch of, after a certain point, you just end up with a bunch of incest babies.
Yeah.
So at that point, live your life. You really don't want to bring kids in that life anyway.
No.
Ooh, that was a bump.
That was a very heavy speed bump. I'm not sure if y'all will hear that or not, but if y'all do, that was a very heavy speed bump.
It was. I need your help looking out for my turn.
I'm not... Oh, okay, I know what turn you're talking about.
Yes. We won't say on the air because we don't want you to know exactly where we are.
No. But, either way, hygiene, like we said, is very big here.
Yes.
And just protecting yourself at all costs from the disease.
Yes.
Obviously, that is a given, but I'm not sure what else to add to that.
No, those are the most important things.
This next one, this is the religious one. It is likely if you believe in religion. It is not as likely if you do not. It's just one that we have on here. The rapture.
Yes, the rapture. The rapture has came, and I guess the chosen, is that what they're called?
I am not sure.
We'll call them that. The chosen have ascended to heaven, and you poor sinned up soul, have been left behind to deal with the angel-demon war.
Almost
That
definitely.
lasts 1,000 years?
I am not sure. But
believe
I can
it's
tell you
1,000
I will
years.
be here if it happens in our lifetime.
Oh, definitely. We'll be here fighting right alongside you, beating up some demons, if they can be killed.
Or beating up some angels, depending on the viewpoints.
Depending on the viewpoints. Depending on who wants us dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Rule number 1 for the rapture. Murder anything that wants you dead.
Yeah.
Don't go hunting what wants you dead. But if it comes a knockin', fill it full of lead.
I like that.
That rhymes.
Yes. Yes, it does. But,
I think we found a saying, just in general, for night drives.
if it wants you dead and it comes a knocking, fill it full of lead.
Yes, sir.
There we go.
We need a t-shirt that says that.
We should. But,
Comment down below if you'd like a t-shirt that says that.
I would just like to say, though, that in this specific situation,
Uh-huh.
again, the government probably hasn't completely fallen apart.
True.
Because we all know how the government be.
Um,
If there are people chosen, I'm sure at least some of the people in the government are coming. The turn's coming up, by the way.
Yeah.
It's like right here.
Yes, it is.
But yeah.
Because there's that creepy sign.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm always certain that it's just a guy standing there on the side of the road, and it's not a comforting thing at all.
No. But in the case of the rapture, then the government will probably still be around. Most things will probably stay the same, except for, of course, the angels and demons.
Yes.
In this specific situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about any other raptures, personally, but there's probably another one out there.
Does Ragnarok count as a rapture?
I'm not sure, mostly because the world ends anyway in that.
Well, right.
Who's to say that you're going to survive that?
Well, who's to say you're going to survive the Christian rapture?
Well, I'm saying, like, survive the initial thing.
Oh, okay.
Because I can't remember exactly what happens.
I believe armies of the damned come to take the world, and Jesus comes back.
I'm talking
to fight
about
them.
in Ragnarok.
Oh! Something about a snake eating its own tail and then a wolf coming.
Yeah. I don't remember a lot about Ragnarok.
You should, it's your heritage.
I know that, but, like... Yeah, I like the beginning of most mythologies. And then I kind of just forget.
Who needs to know how the world ends?
I mean, yeah.
You do, and that's why we're giving you this advice.
Exactly. But in the angels and the demons situation,
Holy water, very important
for demons,
for demons.
we don't know if holy water will affect angels.
We're not positive if it'll
Probably
affect it
won't.
one way or another. This is the one scenario where the enemy you are facing is mostly unknown.
Well, could anyone really make holy water at that point?
You don't have to be pure to make holy water.
I believe in Catholicism you do.
You just have to boil the hell out of it.
I am going to smack you. I understand you're driving, but I want to smack you. As soon as we arrive at our destination, you are getting the biggest smack of the lifetime.
Of the lifetime?
Yes.
Not my lifetime, but just of the lifetime of, the universe?
Yes. I'm going to smack you so hard that God is going to cry.
And then begins the rapture. I
But
can only hope one thing.
what?
At the beginning of the rapture, we hear Gabriel blow his horn.
I mean, yeah.
At least that way we know it's coming.
Yeah.
But this is one of the few apocalypses where the enemy you're facing is mostly unknown.
Yes. We don't know anything about what angels or demons could be.
What they could be weak to. It becomes highly an experimental procedure.
We don't even know if they are weak to anything.
No. For all we know, they could both be immortal beings doomed to fight each other into oblivion.
Exactly. There's not really much to add on to that because of that.
No, not much. It becomes the survival tactics are the same as surviving in a regular war zone.
Yes. Which is food. Give food. And basically all the other stuff that we said.
Right.
Medicine and just the whole situation, the whole shebang.
Except in this situation, you want to have smaller groups.
Yes. I think just like the plague situation that I just spoke about, you want to have very small groups of that.
You do. Not as wholes, but small traveling groups.
Yes.
Because unlike the zombies, these creatures are not mindless. You're not going to be able to get past them as easily.
No, and I'm not sure if it said anything about hunting us to extinction, but it might have.
I don't think there was anything in the Bible, but we're not going to exclude it for that reason.
Exactly. But if they're hunting us to extinction, then you're going to want to keep moving so they can't find you.
Yeah. It's definitely you don't want, this is not a settle down, make a sustainable life.
No.
This is definitely, to survive this, you have to adopt a nomadic lifestyle.
Most definitely. You will want a lot of canned food. Canned food is heavy.
Yes.
But just keep stocking up.
There's also nothing wrong with hunting parties in this scenario.
No.
One of the biggest drawbacks, other than, not knowing your enemy, is that you won't know where your enemy will be.
Yes.
Because there's no way to predict.
And also you don't know your enemy's numbers.
Yeah. There's no way to predict their numbers. There's no way to predict their movements.
We don't know how they, do anything. We don't know if they can fly. We don't know if they can dig underground and burrow. That's the word.
That is the word. It's a very fly-by-night basis.
Yes.
In this scenario, you cannot be too cautious.
No. In any of these scenarios, you can't be too cautious, really.
Right, but this one especially, due to all of the limiting factors as far as your knowledge is concerned.
Yes. The next topic, you actually mentioned this one, so
Did I mention this one?
Yes, so I'm not fully sure what you meant, but I believe we talked a little bit about it. You meant a little bit more like the Book of Eli, I believe.
Yes.
The scorched earth apocalypse.
The entire earth has been scorched by you name it, and the world is left as a desert.
Yes. I'm not really sure how you're supposed to survive this one very well.
This one is... It's more open, I would say. Your biggest trouble in this would be finding water.
I also think your biggest trouble would be finding food, though. Because if everything is desert, nothing is going to survive.
I wouldn't say that. There's many kinds of animals that can survive these kinds of harsh environments, and I believe they would thrive.
Well, I understand that. However,
in the beginning, I definitely think finding food would be an issue. You definitely have to scavenge around. But I think after a couple years, what with the thriving lizard populations especially,
and I guess you could follow them to a source of water, but if there's not really any sources of water for them to find, then you're pretty much screwed.
Yes. I believe without a steady source of water, your best chance is a nomadic lifestyle.
As in, like, moving constantly. I'm positive people know what it is, but
yeah.
Just in case there is somebody that doesn't.
Yeah, no, you keep moving, you keep your head down, you avoid others. If you do find a large replenishing supply of water, then setting up a civilization is not your worst bet. Because in this scenario, there's no sci-fi or religious figures to worry about. Your biggest worry is other people.
Yes.
So having a settlement does actually lower the danger?
It lowers it and raises it.
It lowers it and raises it depending on the situation.
Yes.
The scenario. It lowers the chance, it lowers the risk of bandits.
I would say of small bandit groups. If there is a large bandit group that you are aware of, don't set up near them because they will just keep coming and coming and coming.
Yes.
Again, I don't know much to add to this one that we haven't already spoke of because we explained most of this in the zombie apocalypse one. I'm not sure what you do about medicine in this situation.
Well, I imagine is you'd still be able to scavenge as in others.
Well, yes. Yeah. So do you want to move on to the next one? These are popping out pretty quick here at the end.
Yeah, go ahead.
Next one. Nuclear winter.
Another actually possible one.
Yes.
We're getting into the more possible scenarios now.
Yes.
Now, by nuclear winter, we don't necessarily mean winter.
No.
This is just the aftermath of whatever nuclear apocalypse.
Yes. Just a huge nuclear apocalypse. Everything is bombed. Radiation is your biggest concern.
Yes. Now, let's say you're listening to this far in the future. You are 5th generation living in a fallout shelter. What you have to know is everything is different than you've ever been taught.
Yes.
We can't tell you how it's different. However, regular school learning ain't gonna be able to cut it.
No. Since this hasn't happened, or isn't really like... It's been done before in some video games. Biggest one, Fallout, obviously.
Right. And the closest thing to an actual example we have would be Chernobyl.
Yes. And they just completely abandoned that place. We don't know what happens if people really try to live there during that whole thing.
We don't. We know what happens to animals.
Yes.
Lots of birth mutations.
Farming is something that will be difficult in this situation.
It will. Once again, you have to check your radiation. You have to check the radiation of your groundwater.
Honestly, in this situation, the best case scenario is if you are living in a sustainable environment inside a fallout shelter and there's no one around to bother you, stay in that fallout shelter. You may want to go explore, but stay put. If you can survive there, even if it's not happily, stay there. It might be very annoying, especially if you are a child during this. If you have children, your children are going to want to run away.
Yes. Do not let them.
No, do not let them. It is easiest to survive in a place sustainable. And fallout shelters are the most sustainable.
Given you have your water purification, you have your food.
The only problem with a fallout shelter is do not go outside ever. If you are in a fallout shelter and you have sustainable food, sustainable water, and the lock is locked on the inside, never open the door. As soon as you open the door, there's a slight breach. I am saying this because of radiation and everything else like this. The more you use a lock, the more it wears down and such anyway.
Yes.
But just try to survive underground in the fallout shelter or above ground. I don't know where it is. I don't know if you could make one. Ooh.
That started moving and slowed down.
Well, yeah. Y'all people can't see this, but he is basically, or was about to ram into the back of
I was not.
into the back of a big truck.
I was a good 20 feet away.
That was not 20 feet.
That was 20 feet.
No, that was maybe 15.
That's still a decent distance. At a stoplight.
Either way, back onto topic. Stay inside. That's really the biggest thing.
Don't leave.
Yeah, just don't leave. If you were somehow survived down there for thousands of years, not thousands, maybe a couple, like 500 or 600, and you are a far off generation, maybe then you can open it?
Maybe. Also, for those people in the far future, like and subscribe. We'll have a lot of stuff out. We won't be putting out new stuff unless, of course, our brains are put into vats.
Or robots.
That is something we did not write down. I think we found our next topic there.
Yes. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have really for the nuclear winter is if you are inside a fallout shelter, stay inside as long as it's sustainable. If something fails and there's no way to fix it, then leaving is probably your best choice.
Yes, otherwise you basically become a canned dinner for whatever is out there.
Yeah.
Now, if you are outside during a nuclear winter, you know, your basic broke the law, so you got kicked out of the shelter. You know, didn't have a shelter to begin with, and now you're just surviving on your own.
Okay, I'm going to say something real quick.
Go.
The whole kicked out of the shelter thing. This might seem inhumane. Don't kick people out of your shelter. Kill them.
Yeah.
Don't open your door.
Because then they know where you are.
Yes.
And then, you know, you get into them joining a bandit camp, holding resentment because you kicked them out of the shelter, coming back, knowing where you are, breaking in, breaking that seal, which we told you not to do to begin with.
Yes.
And also, just, you know, bandits, not good.
Yeah.
Kill them. Use them as fertilizer.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea right there.
Human bones are actually wonderful as fertilizer.
Even the corpses and stuff. Like, if a person dies inside your fallout shelter, then just use them as fertilizer.
It'll be, disgusting. I don't know the morals of it. Well, I don't know the moral implications of it.
You're in an apocalypse. Who cares?
I imagine the person that's dead, or the people that are related to them.
I understand, but I still think that you should just do it anyway, even if you feel like it's something wrong. Just think about it as, even in death, they are helping you.
Yes. This actually brings up 2 points that are universally useful. One of them is when you set up a civilization. This is probably going to get us banned in some places, but the best way to decide things is through democracy.
Yes.
You can't help everyone all the time, and democracy is the best way to know that the most people are being helped and listened to.
And even if people don't like it, the DMVs and stuff, like people outside of the United States probably have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm not sure how it works over there in other countries.
You, whatever word, culturist?
Yeah.
There's a word for that. Xenophobe. You xenophobe.
But,
I said a big word.
But, the way they do it there, and the way you should do it in an apocalypse situation, is help the person that needs it most before you help the person that comes first.
Yes. I wasn't sure where you're getting at with the DMV thing. Help the people in need before the people not.
Yes. Say somebody comes to you straight with a problem, like their plumbing is... something's wrong with their plumbing. That's a pretty simple fix. Typically.
However, if someone directly after them comes to you with the issue of...
I've been shot.
I understand the guy has a really big plumbing problem and he can't use his...
Toilet.
Sure, you're not really going to have showers. So he can't use his toilet. However, I feel like he can live longer than the guy that got shot.
Exactly.
You need to prioritize these things and have set rules in place for what does get prioritized.
Yes. You were going to go out in the wild. Speaking of out in the wild, if you're not in a shelter, but I brought it back to the shelter. If you are not in a shelter, try to find a place with very low radiation.
Yes.
And try to stay there as long as possible. You don't want to keep moving around. I'm not sure of all the threats that do exist in this situation.
But this situation is one of those where a nomadic lifestyle is not necessarily the best.
Exactly. Thank you, by the way, for going around that truck.
Oh, no problem. It was a big truck.
Yes.
It's actually the truck from earlier. I've been following them for however many minutes.
Exactly. But a nomadic life isn't necessarily needed. You do want
what the speed limit is?
I do not.
I hope 70 is the speed limit.
I haven't seen the speed limit sign in a while.
I have not seen the speed limit sign in many miles, and if I did, I don't remember what it said. To any cops listening, we are going the speed limit. I don't know. No, we are. As far as you're concerned, I don't know if we can be arrested after the fact.
And also the fact that they don't know what road we're on.
Yes. Or our names, or our location, or our home.
Exactly.
But as far as you're concerned, we're going the speed limit and obeying all traffic laws. Unless, of course, recording in a car while it's moving is illegal.
I don't think it would be.
I don't think it would be either, but I also don't know the statutes of limitations on that. So in that specific scenario, we're just pretending to be in a car.
Are we now?
In that specific scenario. Night drives. Are you looking up the illegality of this?
Yes.
That would explain why this has not been done before to our knowledge.
Keep talking about living in the outside.
Oh! There's not much to living in the outside. Don't move around a lot. You definitely want to set up a home base as fast as possible in the lowest radiation area you can find. Hunting can be iffy because you can get radiation from your food.
Well, radiation poisoning.
Radiation poisoning from your food. Oh, it's 60, so I should slow down a little bit.
Well, you were back down to 65 anyway.
After I saw it was 60.
Oh.
For any cops listening, this is a joke. I'm not. I honestly don't know the statute of limitations on traffic laws. Well, that guy's doing something illegal. The first two are UK. Find that guy. I'm not reading out his whole license plate. A, because that's illegal, and B, because I cannot read it now.
Is that illegal? I don't know.
What?
Reading out a whole license
Oh, I'm
plate.
positive it is.
I don't know.
Like, it has to be. I don't know if saying the first two letters are illegal.
I'm sure those first two letters are everywhere.
I'm sure. But that guy was doing something illegal. Get him. I was speeding and he was going faster than me. I mean, radiation and poisoning is a bad thing.
Yes. Volcanic winter is next.
Yes. This is actually one that's very possible in the near future.
Not the near future.
Well, no, the near future. They don't know when it could go off.
Yeah, it's all random.
It could, by near future, I mean within the next 50 years. In the next 50 to 100 years, scientists predict the eruption of Yellowstone.
Yes.
Because as a lot of people know, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people know, Yellowstone is actually what they call a caldera. I believe that's the proper word for it. It's an enormous lava pocket, not far under the surface. And it actually erupted thousands of years ago?
I am not sure if it was thousands. Probably more than that.
Probably more than that. But the point is that according to current scientific data, it's actually overdue for an eruption.
Yeah.
So, there's been movies done on this that actually cover it pretty well. One of them is Volcano.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to look up. They did their research on that one. The biggest worry as far as the volcanic winter would be the Yellowstone caldera.
Yes. And I'm sorry to anyone that lives right in the vicinity. I can't speak. Vicinity of it. You are probably dead.
No, you just straight up are dead.
Yeah.
I believe the clear rate is 5,000 miles. Within 5,000 miles, you're just dead. Straight up dead.
Yeah.
Within... Actually, no, I want to say it's actually 500,000.
It might be.
Because that covers the immediate states.
I believe, if I recall, even Ohio, like even as far as Ohio, will get slightly affected by some of that.
Yes.
Immediate. Use that as like your distance thing. And if you don't know Yellowstone to Ohio, just Google Maps it. That's the distance.
There are actual maps as to the more accurate data we're giving you.
Yes.
I believe it to be actually 500,000 miles from Yellowstone is straight up. Actually, you know what? Yeah, you have a phone. Look it up.
I was still trying to look up the car thing.
Oh.
Like, is it illegal to record in a car? Because every time I do that, I lose service as soon as I finish typing.
Okay. We're going to give a brief pause and come back with answers to both of these questions.
Dude.
And here is the pausing intro. Da 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 da.
It is 8:35. It is only illegal to record sound if no one gives their consent, or if someone doesn't give their consent. Both of us have given consent.
Even in driving?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not illegal to record in cars?
No.
Awesome. That's answer number 1. Answer number 2.
Okay, it was not as far as Ohio. It reaches... The immediate kill zone is only the, 4 states right there and, the top of Utah.
Does it have mileage?
It does not on this.
It does not. Okay, so the immediate surrounding states around Utah are immediate...
Not around Utah, the top of Utah. It's the state above Colorado, which I can't remember right now.
North Colorado?
What?
That's Dakota.
Yeah.
There's no North Colorado.
No.
We're going to cut that out.
I do not want that to be cut. And you know what? This is probably going to be one of the first things that I start editing on.
Yeah, probably.
So I am going to leave that in. Let you live with your shame of North Colorado.
The mythical state of North Colorado.
But that's the immediate kill zone. And if you are staying anywhere near, anywhere from Illinois, down Missouri, Oklahoma, top of Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, or Washington, if you're on the edges of those, or anything on the inside of that...
It sounds like you're just talking about the West Coast.
Basically, you're dead. You're going to die within the next couple days.
Just because of the amount of ash and toxic gases.
Yeah.
So you have a chance to escape, kind of.
Kind of. But if you are outside of that area, the ash is probably still going to affect you.
Yeah, anyone living in the United States at the time of the eruption is pretty much, I wouldn't say screwed, but it's not looking good.
No, you have to get away.
Yeah. Anyone outside of the United States will still deal with the consequences.
When we say the United States in this situation, I am also, in my mind, but I should verbally say it, including a decent part of Canada because of where Yellowstone is located.
Yes.
Most of North America will be hazardous.
Yes.
In this situation, there's not really much you can do if you live in these areas. If you don't, then life will not necessarily be exactly the same. Very few things will change, like weather and such. Storms.
Yeah.
More storms and such. But if you do live in this area, then these are some tips for you. If you're not already dead.
If you're not already dead.
But again, you have to find a sustainable source of water, and you probably want to be underground.
Yes, for the immediate, I'd say for like South America and such. Outside of that, life will probably go on as usual. It'll just be a little bit tougher going. You'll have large climate shifts.
Yes. And the living underground thing is basically like a fallout shelter, that kind of situation. It's basically you want to have that same situation that we just explained in the nuclear winter.
Yes.
Because everything up topside is just going to be absolutely devastating in this specific scenario. I can't really think of any other points of topic.
Continue on US 29 Business South for 8 miles.
I can't really think of anything about this topic either.
But that is the basis of this. I understand that we're not throwing out all the same points, but I just do not want to repeat everything. For one, it would take up a lot of time, and I don't feel like wasting everyone's time for that. We do have one more scenario, which is the most prominent, most likely to happen. Climate change.
Yes.
We're not trying to get political or anything. It's happening. Climate change is happening whether you want to believe it or not.
This is not a political stance. This is we believe in science.
Yes. If all the glaciers and stuff melt,
then we come into a issue of raised ocean levels.
Yes. And also diluting the ocean. Because, if I recall, I'm going to look this up before I say it.
One last little break here.
Yes.
Night Drives is brought to you by driving. Are you tired? Don't drive. Are you drunk? Don't drive. Are you just looking for a thing to do because you're bored of your everyday life and you need to experience something new? Try driving. Chances are you'll end up somewhere else, and there will be some new exciting things for you to experience. Driving. It's a good thing.
Okay, I found the answer. Yes, I was correct in what I was thinking, because it's obvious science. Glaciers are all fresh water.
No crap.
Yeah. Well, salt water can freeze. It just takes a lot longer.
Yeah, it won't. It also won't freeze at the temperatures available at just naturally.
Well, it did say 90% fresh water. I'm just saying all fresh water because it's how much it's going to dilute.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just going to dilute the ocean. There's going to be a lot less salt water, and a lot of the oceanic populations that are used to that are probably going to die.
Yes.
Raised ocean levels is a big problem.
Anyone living on a coastal city won't be living there any longer.
Or just if you live within maybe 50 miles of a coast even.
Yeah.
Maybe more. I'm not sure about the specifics.
I'm not sure about the specifics either. Get far away from the coast. Travel inland.
Yes.
This, of course, will become this will be a gradual thing. It won't all change at once.
No. But it is going to get hotter and colder. A lot of people forget.
Yes.
It will get very hot and very cold. You will need something to bundle up, very much so.
You will have to be beyond conscious of the weather.
Because in this specific situation, the weather is your biggest enemy.
Now, this isn't a collapse of society like in some of our others.
No. This isn't a standard apocalypse in which the government fails.
Yeah, this isn't a shoot first and ask questions later. However, on a different, maybe a different one, we'll talk about my opinions on shoot first, ask questions later. I call that a southern handshake.
Back on this topic.
Back on this topic.
The weather is your biggest enemy. So is UV. Because
The main cause of the climate change is the deteriorating ozone layer.
yes.
And without that, we will be much more susceptible to UV. Therefore, we will actually be a lot more susceptible to diseases such as cancer.
Yes. And a lot more infections because of it.
Right.
Because
The main way to avoid it is not with loads of sunscreen.
no.
What you want to do is you want to stay covered. It's going to be hot, it's going to be uncomfortable, but you want to stay covered. You don't want to expose your skin to the UV rays that will be prominent.
I don't recommend wearing something hot like a jacket if that's what
No.
you were thinking.
No, I'm
Um,
thinking light long sleeve shirts.
I was thinking more along the lines of wear a poncho. Like a rain poncho or
Oh,
something.
it gets kind of hot in there.
It can, but some of them are made of the more plasticky material.
It is. Make sure you get a UV protected poncho.
Yes. Sunburn will be one of the worst things to get in this situation.
Which is, once again, why you stay protected.
Yes. If you have a hat, wear a hat.
Always wear a hat. Just in general. Hats are nice.
I don't really like hats very much. You know my opinion on that. I'm a beanie kind of dude.
That's not going to help you.
No. I mean, it will. It'll help your scalp, but not like your face
No.
or your neck.
No.
But
That's how the news rolls.
yeah, I don't really have any more points to add to this one either, besides staying covered and just protecting yourself from the sun and from the basic weather, and get inland.
And, use the same things we've been talking about throughout the entire podcast. Your base survival techniques.
Food and water, medicine,
Food, water, medicine,
hygiene,
hygiene, protection,
yes, shelter.
shelter.
I think that's all we really needed to cover.
That's all we have on this one.
You can find us at Lampfire Gaming
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube. This video will be up on there, but I am planning on putting it on other places as well.
Yep. You can find us wherever it's easy to put up podcasts.
Also, you can find us on Facebook at
Lampfire Gaming.
Lampfire Gaming as well.
We post updates on what's going on with the channel there.
And on YouTube, we usually upload every Tuesday.
Yes.
I am not sure when this podcast will go up.
Not on Tuesday. Podcasts will be uploaded on Thursdays.
Will it be Thursdays?
I'm planning Thursdays.
That
If it's
sounds
not
fine with me.
Thursday, I'm wrong.
Very well.
That's
But-
all we have.
That's all we have. Nice speaking to you on this night drive.
Night drives.